Hey, hey. Happy Tuesday. Happy whatever day it might be when you catch this replay. I am coming to you very normal in my very casual business loungewear. I'm excited. This is my first live of 2022, and I want to chat with you guys today about some key factors to consider in business, especially when you're thinking about if you want to make a handmade business, if you're wanting to do things manufactured. I talk about a lot of different things on my channel and on Instagram, which if you see me looking both ways, hey replay fam, I'm actually on both Instagram and YouTube going live right now. And so the main thing is I love to talk about stationery products and things that are handmade, things that are manufactured, and just all of the different routes. But this is really going to apply to you whether you have a stationery business or not, because it's just going to be the three key factors to consider when you're thinking about decisions and things that you want to make within your business. So as people start to get on, I'm going to go ahead and introduce myself. My name is Tatiana. I am a business coach and mentor for women that want to start their own stationery businesses. I absolutely have so much passion around the topic of entrepreneurship and all that comes with that. And so I love to just share my experiences and my knowledge with you all and give you as much encouragement as possible to help you along in the beginning part of your journey, or even if it's not the beginning, but maybe you're trying something new out or whatever the case may be. That's basically what you can kind of find here on my platform. And so today, on this very first live of the year for me, I wanted to chat about three key factors to consider in your business. And so I've recently been talking a lot about the options, the pros and cons when you're weighing out, let's say if you want to make a planner or a journal, or just in general with any type of like paper product type of business. Do you want to do it handmade or do you want to do it manufactured? And so there's a lot of decisions and things that come into play with that. And it's really the same in any industry, right? You know, just as far as what it is that you're trying to figure out for yourself. Hey, Stephanie, welcome. When you're thinking about what you want to figure out. And so these are the three factors that will help you with just making big decisions for yourself, things that you're not really sure about. It'll really help you when you're thinking of these. So the first one, and actually, I'll tell you where I'm pulling this from as well. So if you do have an interest in creating a handmade or a manufacturer, whatever the case may be, but if you're really considering, oh, I might be able to do this handmade, consider downloading my handmade evaluation guide. For those of you guys that are on YouTube, it's actually linked in the description. And I also have it linked in my bio here on Instagram. Hello, thank you for joining. And so that guide is going to really help you get some clarity around, okay, is this process for you? Is handmade the right option? And all those different things. But one of the pages within that actual evaluation guide, there's a part in there called 3 key factors. And so that's what we're going to be kind of like zooming in on today, so I can really specifically talk about this, because I think it really can help you with any business that you have, these things to consider. And so the 3 key factors, I'm just going to kind of pull them over on the side of my screen so I can see them, so I can have this stuff up. And for those of you guys that are watching, how are you? Where are you watching from? How's your week going so far? Chat with me. I would love to see how you guys are doing so far. Hello, thank you for joining. Let me know where you're watching from. Okay, so the 3 key factors. So I'm just kind of looking at this worksheet. And if you haven't already, click the link in my bio if you're on Instagram, or click the link in the description and you can see exactly what I'm talking about within this handmade evaluation guide. It's this page in there called 3 key factors. So the 3 key factors that you want to consider when you're making a decision in your business, and even more specifically with if you want to do handmade or not, is going to be your desire, your time, and your budget. Hello, ladies that are getting on. Instagram was kind of low crickets for a while, but I'm glad to see a few people getting on. Hello from Texas. Hi. I'm glad to hear your week is going well. Hi, thank you for joining. We're just talking about the 3 key factors to consider in business, and I'm pulling this information from my handmade evaluation guide. You can get the link in my bio, and I feel like I repeated that a few times, but people are just starting to hop on, so I want to make sure everybody's on the same page with me. Oh, glad to see someone else is from Texas as well. Hello. But yeah, so the three key factors, the reason that this is in that handmade evaluation guide is because I think when it comes to figuring out the pros and the cons of anything, you really have to have some determining factors, right? You have to have the things that kind of tell you whether or not this is the best route for you, if this is the best option for your business to take. And so the first one is desire. And desire is really just going to come down to what exactly is it that you're trying to do, first of all. So when you're thinking about any decision you're trying to make, what is your desire to do this? So, especially when we're talking about the handmade process specifically, if you wanted to make a handmade planner or a handmade journal or handmade cards or anything like that, it's really going to be, do you have 100% desire to want to be super hands-on within this process? Do you want it from start to finish, whether that's from idea to conception to design to literally making it with your hands to shipping it out? Do you want to be 100% involved in that process? And some people are like, yeah, sign me up. And the other people are like, oh no, I don't really think that that's really anything that I have any interest in or that I would like to see myself doing. And so really ask yourself that question, because if you follow me on YouTube, I'm really big on sharing my handmade process. I'm really big on sharing how I love to do that, but just as much as I love to do it, the reality is I don't always love it every single moment. There's parts and things that are sometimes great and that I love, and parts that I feel really make it so worth all of the labor that goes into it. But then there's other things that I don't enjoy as much. And so that's why some of the parts of my handmade process I've outsourced. And that helps me to continue to enjoy the handmade process. But you really want to ask yourself, what is my desire to do this? And so whether you're trying to, maybe you're coming out with a new product and you're trying to decide, like, is this really the right fit for me? What's your desire to make this a part of your business? Make this process, if it's handmade, for example, a part of what you have going on. And so that's really an important thing to consider. And so then the next thing you want to consider is time. So how much time do you really have to put into this? So if you are super busy, like I know many of us are, whether you might be a parent or you're married or you're in a relationship, you work full time, part time, you got family asking you for this, that, and the third, and just all of these different things. Then you look at, like, okay, I want to add this new thing on. Do you have the time to do this? And so specifically when I'm speaking about the handmade process, it's really involved. It can definitely be an in-depth process, especially in the very beginning stages. And I actually talked about this in the video that I posted last week. It's called, what is actually the title? It's basically like the pros and cons of going the handmade route in your business. So check that out if you're interested in just a little bit more of a deep dive into this. But I actually touched on time, because time in the beginning of really anything, when something is new to you, it's gonna feel like, oh my gosh, this is a lot. Oh my gosh, this feels overwhelming, because it's your first time doing something. If we all look back to the first time that we decided we wanted to start driving, I'm pretty sure that it was very stressful and it was scary and new, and you're trying to remember all of the different rules and everything that you learned from driving school, and you're just trying to get you your driver's license, so it's stressful and it's scary because it's new. But now we get in the car, we put our key in, and you half the time don't even think about what you're doing because it's just something you've been doing. And so it's the same thing with the handmade process as well. The more you get into it and the more time goes on and the more that you create, the easier the process becomes for you. And so it doesn't really feel like it's as overwhelming. Yes, it may be time consuming, but you'll start to get your flow, you'll get your groove, you'll get your process, you'll perfect things, and things that might have taken you an hour are now taking you 5 minutes. And so it's something to consider, but time is very important. We all want to make sure that we make the most of it. And so it's definitely important to think about. And it is labor intensive. So again, I just wanted to kind of throw that out there, especially in the route of that. But in any business, thinking about, especially if you are a solopreneur, which I know many of those that follow me are wanting to be, when you're thinking of bringing something new into your business or just new into something you're trying to do, how much time is that going to take you away from the things that you prioritize in your life? If that is family or children, or if you have another business, or just all of those things. And you really want to kind of think about that. Really take a moment and don't just jump. Because I know a lot of times people will act on impulse, or they'll make decisions without truly thinking about like how much time can really be invested into some of this stuff. Let's see. Her Lux Love, she said, "Good evening, first timer to your live, but not your channel. I'd love to make handmade notepads and get printing flyers, business cards, best printer for. Okay, so I will come back to you. I'm going to do a Q&A at the end. So if you guys have any questions, start dropping them in the Q&A portion here on Instagram if you have a question, or in the chat. And then same for anybody that's watching on YouTube. So we talked about desire, we talked about time, and then the last thing to consider with just your decision in your business, your decision to go handmade, is going to be your budget. So when it comes to your budget, I think the biggest thing that sometimes we think, especially in the handmade process, is that it's cheaper, or that you're kind of taking the way that might save you a little bit more money. And the reality is that may not always be the case. And this will definitely vary. This is one of the big questions I get from people, is like, well, what's the more cost-effective route? What's the better option as far as like how much things are? How much would this be? And it's hard to really answer that question because every single planner, every journal, every card, or whatever you might be making is going to be different. So the biggest thing I would say is to really just weigh out your pros and cons and really give yourself a solid research time. I know it's exciting, you want to start making things, but sometimes if you really are kind of on the fence, like if you kind of considered, maybe you do desire to do it, but maybe there's some things you're not quite sure about. You do kind of have time to do it, but you're not sure how much you're willing to invest. And then the budget might kind of be the determining factor for you. I would really say to give yourself some time to do some deep research. And in deep research, I mean, of course, watching videos online and different things like that, but really like making some phone calls, submitting some quotes, sending some emails, and really getting into like the customer service with some of these companies, asking the questions that you've been wondering, because they're really going to be the ones that can help you the most. I know when I was getting started with, even just back in 2016, 2017, when I was getting started with my subscription box at the time, there was a lot of up in the air subscription boxes. They were kind of on the rise at that point. People were doing them and have been doing them for a little bit, but I feel like they were really starting to like take off. And so I kind of knew about them. I had gotten a few myself, but there was still so much unknown. And I just dove in, I didn't really like question it. I kind of just started just picking things up. And I wish that I would have took the time to really research everything and just make sure that handmade was the right option, because as I went on over the years, I learned that it's not always cheaper to make things by hand. And in fact, sometimes it's not even about the cost, it's just about your time, valuing your own time. So it's a lot of things to consider with that. But the biggest thing with the budget, I would say, is especially if you're looking at like, okay, this is how much money I have set aside, this is how much money I'm willing to spend for all of these things. Start pricing out equipment that, if you watch my channel, you may have heard me mention some of these different equipment. Or, if you've come by it maybe in the store in Michael's or something like that, start looking at those costs and adding them up so you can really get a good idea of how much it really costs to make something by hand, because I know it seems affordable, but it can be an investment. But like I actually said in that pros and cons video the other day, it's an investment, but it's one that's going to keep making you money. So even though you are making that kind of like bulk down payment, if you want to call it, when you're first investing in your printer and your binding machine and your paper and all of these different things, some things, yes, you'll need to keep repurchasing like toner and paper and stuff like that. But other things, it's like, okay, you got a printer. There really shouldn't be any reason you're needing to get another printer anytime soon, or your binding machine that can last you a really, really, really long time. So with things like that, look at it more so like it's an investment, and it'll continue to come back to you after the fact. But still, at the same time, I highly suggest getting those hard costs. And that's always the first place I recommend starting. Once you've decided that you do have the desire to do it, you do have the time to do it, then you want to see like, okay, how much is this actually going to cost me? And don't leave anything out. Like, don't leave anything out. Factor in how much it is to ship the stuff to you. Get all those costs so that there's no surprises for yourself. So that is the 3 factors. And again, for those of you that are just joining, I pulled this from my handmade evaluation guide. I launched it on Thursday of last week. You can actually find it if you're on YouTube. It's in the description. You just click on that link, put in your name and email. You'll get it right to your inbox. And then if you're on Instagram, it's linked in my bio. It's the Handmade Evaluation Guide. It's just going to help you to figure out like whether or not this is the right route for you. I know a lot of people that follow me, just with me sharing so much of my handmade planner journey, people are always like, well, is this the best route? Like, is it the cheapest route? And so this is just going to help you to just kind of answer that for yourself and really just kind of check that off your list and be like, okay, at least I know this isn't for me, or, you know, maybe this is a possibility. So that's why I created it. So I really hope you guys enjoyed it. It seems like so far people are enjoying it. But yeah, so that's where I actually pulled that from. So now that we've kind of talked a little bit about the desires, the time, the budget, and all that different stuff, I wanted to see if anybody had any questions before I go. This is just gonna be a really quick live. Like I said, this is my first one of the year, y'all. I took a social media break, like the end of December and going into this month, and I am still adjusting. Like, I'm still trying to get used to being back on everything. Like, it was only just like 2 or 3 weeks, but I really have just enjoyed the unplugging. I don't know. Have any of y'all ever like really done a social media break? Like, it is just, it's so much more than you think it is. Like, you're probably like, okay, yeah, whatever. But like, it was really eye-opening for me. Like, it really was, just to see like how much I was really on all these apps and all this stuff. So I'm still adjusting to all of that and everything, but I'm definitely happy to stay on for a little bit of Q&A if you guys have any questions. I wanted to share as well that I am going to be doing a little announcement of something fun that I'm going to be doing in a couple weeks. I'm going to be sharing it on Thursday. So if you are subscribed to my YouTube channel, hopefully you'll get the notification when the video goes live. It's going to be a pretty typical video, but the announcement will be within that video of something I'm doing that'll be fun. So especially if you signed up for this evaluation guide, then I definitely think this announcement you're going to love, because it's going to be something to really help you even take this a step further, to really get clear around your planner or your journal concept so that you can really start making this thing happen and really put some momentum behind it. So I'm excited to talk about that, and I'll be sharing that soon. So let me see. Her Lux Life, you said social media break did my body good. It was a cleansing moment. Yes, like it's crazy. I always just thought like when people said it, it's like, oh, I take a break. And I was like, oh, okay, whatever. But I just felt so good. Like, now I have boundaries set in place. I feel just not as like dependent on it, if that makes any sense. Like, that probably sounds super dramatic, but like, y'all, it was just a whole different thing than what I was expecting to get out of it. So I'm really grateful for that. And hi, everybody that's hopping on and off on Instagram. Hello. I just got done talking about the 3 key factors of just the decisions to make in your business. I will be having the replay available, so if you want to check that out. But now I'm just doing some Q&A, so I'm going to answer some questions and read some of your comments. Let's see. Leslie said, definitely love your content and trying to figure out the best printer. Definitely love a social media break. For sure, for sure. Yes, so the best printer, again, it's hard to say because I don't know exactly what you're doing, but I would say if you are doing something where color is a really big deal to you, you're really wanting a really good pigment. Let's just say, like, a great example would be like cards. If you're going to be making cards at home by yourself, you want the cards to be pretty vibrant and pretty, and as much color payoff as possible. So I would say I would look into getting a really good inkjet printer. I know there's a ton of them out on the market. I've used probably 2 or 3 different brands, and I found Canon has really just been my ride or die. Like, Canon, it's lasted for me. Sometimes the toner or the ink can be a little bit more on the pricier side, but they just do it right for me. So I would say Canon to start. As far as the specific model, it's going to just depend on what you need. So what I will say, I would try to look for one that at least has 4 cartridges if it's an inkjet. So then that way you know that you're really getting a lot out of that. There's so many out there that have even more cartridges, or they might only have 2 cartridges. But I find that mine has 4, and it's really helpful. And I use mine for my stickers. So if you ever have a need to want to make stickers, you want to do inkjet for that. Same with, again, like if you're doing a planner cover, I use it for my planner covers. I print all of my planner covers on the inkjet printer. So many things, you guys. When I make my own packaging, I print that on my inkjet printer. Now, if you're trying to do something that's a little bit more involved with like a lot of pages, so like you said, okay, like journal inserts, planner inserts, things like that, that would be where I would suggest a laser printer, because laser printers are just going to be a little bit quicker. Now, my printers are old, so there may be even newer features out here now because, you know, again, like I said, this is an investment, so I didn't plan on buying multiple printers over and over again. So with that, the features I'm mentioning might be even different or even better now. But what I found is that with laser printers, they tend to let your pages out a lot quicker. So, you know, you're printing out a journal and it's 150 pages. If I was to do that on my inkjet printer, I probably could leave. I could go run some errands. I could go make dinner. I could hang out with my daughter for a little bit, watch a movie with my husband, come back, and it might be on the second to last page. Like, it takes a really long time. So the laser printer would be what I would recommend for things that are going to be longer, but you still want it to have a good quality. So most laser printers do a pretty good job though. And the toner can get very pricey on those. So just kind of keep that in mind. But mine's is actually a color laser printer, so I can do color and black and white. But I find that the inkjet printer just has better print quality. So that's why I suggest the inkjet. So hope that helps. That was kind of like a longer answer than you might have been looking for. But yeah, I would definitely say look into Canon, the Image Class series. I think that's really all they have out for the most part, at least that I'm aware of. So look into those as far as models and things. Okay, let me go back up because I know Her Lux Life asked a question. And if anybody on Instagram, if you guys have a question, please feel free to drop it in the Q&A. I'm going to do Q&A for about maybe 10 or 15 more minutes. And then I'll probably go. All right, let's see. So Her Lux Life said the best printer for, so I kind of answered that question a little bit. So yeah, for handmade notepads, flyers, business cards, best printer, I would definitely say an inkjet printer would help you with all those things, even the notepad, because notepads are not like really a lot of pages, and you would probably want your notepad to have the best color, I would imagine. So I would definitely say probably inkjet printer would be best for that. Okay, so I'm pivoting my business from hobby to LLC. I'm learning how to build business credit. Oh, okay, cool, exciting. That's very exciting. Hey, Takia. I don't know if you're still on, but hey, girl. Let's see. JNP.office supplies over on IG asked, hi, good night. What type of material can I use to cover the board for the planner? I use sticker paper. Everybody's always surprised by that, but I just use sticker paper to cover mine. There's so many different types of paper out there. The one that I use is like a weatherproof matte paper. But you could use glossy, you could use a matte paper. Just keep in mind that since it is going to be the thing on the outside that gets the most, wear and things like that, consider that when you're kind of thinking about the material of the sticker paper, but that's what I use. Some people will get like a paper and do glue. I've seen that. You could do fabric. Like there's so many different things you could put around it if you're trying to change up the look of it. Okay, so let's see. Hey, Jennifer. How are you? Okay, so love your advice. It has really helped me so much to work out some of my issues in my business. Thanks. You are so welcome, Ursula. Thank you for being here. I may be able to keep my Epson workforce. It has 4 or 5 inkjet cartridges. Yes, definitely. I would try. I actually had an Epson printer, y'all. I had an Epson printer even before I started my stationery business, and I was like, I'll just use this to get started. Mine only had 2 cartridges though. But it was like, I don't know what happened, but it was like I would buy the ink. I think I was maybe waiting too long to use the ink. Y'all know how, like, I don't think the newer things do this, but the older printers, if you would leave the cartridge too long, it would like dry out. And I think that that's what kept happening in my Epson. But yeah, Epson is a great brand as well. So if you already have, and that's the thing, I actually mentioned this on that video because I think sometimes people forget to look around at what they already have, or even if you don't have it, if your mama got it, or something like that, consider that as well, because this stuff is an investment. It does take a lot of not only your time but your money as well to make these things happen. And so if you work somewhere and they got a nice laser printer And people seem to be kind of chill about you printing stuff, do it that way. Or like for me, I was using the printing company. I used to work at a university when I started my stationery business. And of course, most universities, they have a printing place like where kids go and get their reports printed or whatever the case is. And so I was getting my planner insert pages were getting printed in that print shop. I didn't have a laser printer for probably the first year of my business, and that was how I did it. And they were actually dirt cheap. I wish I was still getting rates like that now to print my stuff, but yeah, so really look around you and consider the things you have as well. Okay, cool. I'm glad I answered your question, Leslie. Okay, cool. Can you gold foil on the sticker paper? Yes, you can. I will give you a really real thing about foil, y'all. Hey Tia, my sister's on. I have a love-hate relationship with foil. I love foil on a lot of my products. If you've ever paid attention, like I just did a haul from Cultivate What Matters. I just put it up earlier today on YouTube. I absolutely love foil, especially gold foil. But when it comes to me doing foil myself, I always have run into issues. And so one of the main things, I actually had the Heidi Swap, or I still have it. It's the Heidi Swap, what is it called? The Heidi Swap Mink. Is that what it's called, y'all? Help me out. I think it's the Mink. I have that. And I purchased it. I was really excited because what I wanted to do was take my A5 dashboards and I wanted to foil the title on them, and then I wanted to be able to foil people's names on there if they wanted their name on there. One thing to keep in mind if you are going to do this, and I'm sure most of you guys probably know this because this kind of stuff, so many videos now out about this, but you want to make sure you're using a laser printer if you're doing foil, whether it's on sticker sheets or paper or cardstock or whatever it may be, because the laser printer, the toner, it attaches to it and it heats up and it allows for the foil to stick to it really seamlessly. Inkjet, literally nothing will happen. Like you literally put the foil on and it will literally just come off. So that's another thing to consider if you're thinking about foiling. You might want to also consider getting a laser printer instead of over inkjet if you're only picking one or the other. But anyway, long story short, I just couldn't get it to work for me. Anytime I would do it, it would never be like fully all the way across. There would be like something would be wrong with it. Like there might be a line through it, the foil would fold, different things like that. The best tip that I did find about foiling, though, to this day that still worked the best for me, because I used to do it in my box quite a bit on stickers and on just different things. The best tip that I found that worked really well was to, and it sounds crazy because it's almost kind of scary, like when I did it, I was actually scared to do it. But when you go to put it in, whether you're using a laminator for foiling or you're using the Mink or something like that, don't put anything on the top except for the foil. So like if you have your sticker sheet, you put the foil on top and then you feed it through. I was nervous because I felt like it was going to like remove some of the color or like something was going to happen, but it actually, the color was still fine. And the foil always looked the best when I did that. So that's something to keep in mind. I don't know what the sticker sheet looks like, so I'm not sure how well that would work. You would definitely probably have to cut the foil down, especially if it's just like a certain section you want foiled or whatever the case may be. But that would be my biggest tip. So if you can do that for anybody, if you're thinking about foiling, like I said, I have a love-hate relationship with foiling, but that was one tip that I found that really worked well most times, but I ended up just giving it up because I just didn't have the patience for it. But it's so beautiful and it's definitely worth it if you can get it to work. And there's some shops out there that have some seamless, amazing foil and they're doing the stuff by hand. And I wonder all the time, like, I don't know how they're doing that. So if you can get it to work, definitely do it. Okay, never mind. You were talking about something else. Cinch. Oh, the cinch. Oh, okay, yeah. Well, yeah, because Heidi Swap did make the cinch as well. But yeah, she also has the Mink as well. So it's a fun fact if you didn't know. The foiling machine. So yeah, and mine stopped working. That was what I was actually getting at. My Mink stopped working, and it stopped working before I even really got going with it. So then I ended up just using the $20 laminator I got from Walmart. So that was another annoying thing about it. I don't know what happened, but it just like does not work anymore. So yeah, so that's pretty much it. I think I'm gonna get ready to get off. I probably have a very small amount of time left before Emery gets up from her nap. But just a quick recap, we talked about just the things to consider when you are making decisions in your business, but specifically if you're considering to make something handmade. You want to consider your desire to do it, the time that you have to do it, and as well as your budget to do it. So that is basically what we talked about. The replay will be available for anybody that missed it. And then the other two things is, if you haven't already, make sure you get the handmade evaluation guide. It is linked everywhere. It's going to help you to decide whether or not the handmade process is for you. Because sometimes, especially if you've been following my YouTube channel for a while, you may be like, oh, I can do that too, and I think you can. But the guide will really just help you to decide for sure if it works for you, just by answering some questions for yourself and different things like that. And I apologize for you guys on Instagram. I don't even know if you can still hear me now. My little alarm went off, and now my phone is like doing some flashing thing up top. So somebody give me like a thumb if you can still even hear or see me. And then I also said that I'm going to be announcing something fun that I've been working on that will be happening in a couple of weeks. So stay tuned for that announcement on Thursday, because I'll be sharing that as well. So if the handmade evaluation guide helped you, this is going to be that next layer to really kind of take you the next step. So I think you'll really enjoy it a lot. So yeah, that's pretty much all I have for you guys today. Thank you for getting on with me for my first live of the year. I said at the beginning of this, I was like, I'm looking just very loungy right now. So yeah, but I'm gonna go. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I will see you next time. Bye.